there. The entire army is just completely wasted, and I didn't pre-screen this after I played it, so I'm not sure how long there's going to be a dip in the action right here, but I've got my gold up and running, and once you can get 3 hatcheries, like I probably should have put down an auxiliary hatchery right up here. I am going to hive, just because 2 hatcheries is not enough to spawn off of for 2 base, you know, especially if you're doing a build like that's predominantly roaches and zerglings and infestors. Just you're gonna have extra stuff, you're gonna have extra gas, you're going to have extra minerals that you just simply cannot spend, you know, in there. So 50 to 57, I've got the ideal amount of harvesters for 2 bases, but as you can see, I'm now working off of 3 bases. I could be saturating that one a little bit better, but I need gas right now more than anything else, so I'm actually going to be moving out right here. I just poke in to see what's going on. I wanted to see what I'm up against, and there we go. He's migrating all of these SCVs down here, and he's just mixing them in with his army. Wow, all auto-repaired, so, you know, this, to me, when a Terran does this, it almost kind of feels like an all-in, because if I can kill all those SCVs with this ground force right here, that puts him in a pretty bad position, because he lacks that, you know, mining capability. So my hive is up. There goes my ultra den. Now, ultras, I feel almost need to be deployed once you get into this, you know, transitioning out of mid-game, which we basically just sat back and, you know, we both macroed up for all of the mid-game. You're going to need these guys, because ultras will just destroy face on these SCVs. Massive AoE damage. So here we go. I actually have my camera someplace else right now, so the first part of this battle does not go the way I want it to at all, actually. But here I'm pulling my troops back, going to reposition, and here I'm going to be dropping. There we go. That's what we like to see right there. I grabbed so many Thors with that Neural Parasite, and that's just awesome. I absolutely love that, but as you can see, he just had so many of them that even though I Neural Parasited most of them, those Thors are still able to clean up most of my army here, but in the same token, I'm able to drop. Do I get that Thor? Yes. I drop all but 2 of his Thors. He's got a couple Hellions left, and he's got some Vikings that he dropped down, but not the position I want to be in. If we check out the army tab right now, he's the one with the army left. He's got a few Thors and a few of these, but if we go over to the production tab, I'm building 19 Roaches, 14 Zerglings. I've got Evolution on the way for Armor and Ventral Sacs. I don't know why I decided to do it at this point, but I basically decided that I'm going to have to let this expansion fall right here because I need to build up troops. I can start sending troops in here, but they're actually just going to get destroyed. So these Zerglings decide to go out with their little broodlings and be heroes and just get completely massacred. And, you know, just continuing to try to build up. And I was actually missing my inject larvas right here because I decided to drop a creep tumor to try to get a little bit of a better highway, which I could be doing with just my stacked overlords. But, you know, if I would have been managing my larva better, I could have had a bigger army back up and running, because it takes a Terran a long time to rebuild that army, not nearly as long for Zerg if you have that stuff up and running. So there goes my Chickness plating, armor level 1, and I have an Ultralisk out on the way with 5 more Infestors. So the Infestors are going to be key for me to continue, you know, to do well in this battle. We traded armies, he dropped an expansion, and we check out the income tab. Even though he lost all those SCVs, I'm still barely ahead of him, because he's just doing such a good job at building those guys. I've got to commend him for just staying on top of the micro game. And we've got 4 Thors out in the field, and the 4 Thors, right now, we're pretty comparable as far as it goes. Just I've got a lot of Roaches, I've got 1/1 upgrades for them. His Thors have, you know, 2/1 upgrades, so they get really strong once they start getting those upgrades. You know, it's like 5-finger death punch, only they've only got 4 fingers if you count both barrels of each gun total, so 4-finger death punch total. Wow, that was really lame. But the Ultralisk will definitely help balance the score. Getting some Zerglings out just more or less as cannon fodder. That's really what you want them there for, just to get in, get this round, and hopefully those Thors, they're wasting that 36 damage on those Zerglings. That's really what you want at that point. Those Zerglings will probably end up spending their life as Banglings because they're awesome for that. And I'm going to take this opportunity, actually, to throw down an expansion over here, and I'm actually long-distance mining that right there, because I had to migrate my drones, and I'm actually going to move out right here, because I've got a lot of troops. I've got my Ultras out. I'm feeling pretty good. The Chickness plating has spawned. I've got level 1 attack coming down, so there we go. That one's going to go down. Neural Parasite kind of wasted, but here we go. This is how this is supposed to be done. All of these Thors turning on each other, and then once that's done, you've got to kill these Thors. You want them dead before that Neural Parasite wears off, because that's just less casualties that you take yourself. And right there, Infestors just proving their worth just absolutely fantastic, but this planetary fortress, even with what I've got right here, is not going to be easy to deal with. Ultras do pretty well against planetaries. You can see it drops quickly until we see mass SCV repairs, and the Ultras, now that they're working the way that they're intended to work, I did decide to fungal growth all these SCVs. I should have dropped a second one on it, because that would have actually taken a lot of his SCVs, but right there, all I did was throw away troops at that base. SCVs just mass repair, lots of them in the red, but that red doesn't necessarily matter because they're still alive, they're still mining, but he's on one base, he's getting a command center, nope, he's getting a planetary fortress ready to go up here because he knows he has to migrate out. I've got creep covering his high yield right now, my high yield back up and running again, so that makes me extremely happy. My APM settling right at about 75, that's been more average what I've been at for a while. So what I'm actually going to do right now is send out this roach over here just to see what's going on, because I've got a sneaky feeling that he's going to have something over here, and we just look at how quickly this planetary fortress just does in with this roach. Look at him burn. And he's going to be taking down the rocks because he knows he needs to reinforce that over here. He's got to get it up and running, migrating all of those workers over here, and his income is just going to boost right back up. If we take a look at the army tab over here, I am way outdoing him in the army, and I'm actually getting corruptors right now. Now, this is something you normally will not see in Zerg versus Terran because Vikings are so good at taking out broodlords, but at this point, I'm pretty confident that with the one starport that he has over here, and I'm pretty sure I did send in a few more changelings throughout this, that there's not going to be too many Vikings out in the field. He's not going to be wasting his money on that because of my predominant ground army, but there's not much he can really do to deal with this. His Thors are literally neural parasite targets, so he's going to have to come up with a different way if he wants to stay in this game, if he wants to compete with the army that I'm amassing right here. And I'm actually moving a queen up here to heal this Ultralisk, because he was down in the red. There's no reason you should let your Ultra die, not when you've got queens, especially in my position, sitting around with a lot of extra energy. So I'm transitioning into mutas, and going to have some broodlords out in the field with just so many roaches. It's crazy. I went a little roach heavy, but they're just awesome ground units. They were good beforehand. I'm actually sending these guys in to die because I need to free up some food for when I morph my broodlords. And just to do a little bit of scouting, it's not too expensive of a loss, but I need the food more than anything. And, just that 4 range, I think, was just a nice little buff that makes me want to use these guys a little bit more. And he's pulling back, and these roaches, they're just literally going to be cannon fodder. He's pulling in all of his SCVs. Just look at that. That repair, they're just repairing everything because they think they're so cool. And I would like to see him actually be constructing another command center right about now, because he's got a lot of Thors out in the field. He's got 7 Thors total, but there's no Marines to support it, with the composition that we're looking at right here, with the Zerglings, the Broodlords, the Ultralisk, the Roaches. It's just not looking good for Akira right now. Not really a good position to be in. The income tab shows that he's actually ahead of me in income. I generally never really build more than about 50 workers because it's been it seems like a good solid number for Zerg to, maintain a good economy, especially on a high yield right here, and I'm actually just getting this one up and running. Here we go. Probably we'll see one more, maybe not, just to get some more gas up and going on this. And my food count, I'm basically 200 out of 200. Akira 142 out of 200, and unless, he can do something, holy, 8 Thors. That's a lot of Thors out in the field. There's Hellions, but these Broodlords are going to be very effective. I've got 5 of them, but no air upgrades, because I didn't really plan on doing air once I saw all of those silly Thors out in the field, but these guys are a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my army over here, and I'm actually going to move in, and I'm going to, use my Broodlords to start ranging them, because I want him to move his army out into the open, and basically speaking, I'm going to put these guys down here, and, I do decide to rush all in on this. Oh, well, I've got enough troops here where that planetary fortress really won't stand a chance. And all the Hellions move in. Hellions going to be completely ineffective versus the Roaches. There come the SCVs. Fungal growth in all of the SCVs. And this Ultralisk just going to town, ripping everyone apart. And there goes the neural parasites just taking control. And there's not really going to be much that he can do at this point, just because these Thors have literally become targets. They're almost not benefiting him to build these big, expensive units. And I think I've actually got enough energy left over to retake over some of these units. Right here, let's see if I do that. I'm going to be walking away. Oh, you're mine, and you, Oh, you're mine too. I took control of all of them. That's just so awesome. So, gonna kill these guys. Right here, while they're under my control. He GG's right there. He knows there's nothing he can really do. The planetary fortress is gonna go down. He's down to 7 harvesters. He leaves the game. And that's gonna be that, ladies and gentlemen. So, reason why I brought this longer game to you is Terran versus Zerg. A lot of Terrans have been complaining about OP in Zerg play, but when you look at something like this, Thor's girlfriend is being slightly distractive right now. She wants attention, but Thors are a very devastating unit against Zerg. You know, when they've got weapons as powerful as Thor's hammer that one-shot Zerglings, you know, when they're upgraded, almost one-shot Hydras, two-shot Roach, you know, 2 or 3-shot Roaches, have crazy anti-air capabilities that can, you know, destroy mutas if your macro isn't well. The only real good way to bring these guys down is with Infestors, with Neural Parasite, because that spell has a long range. I think it's like 9 or 10 range, and can do a really good job at taking control of them. Ultras, one-on-one in Ultra will probably win against a Thor, but, you know, that's throwing a brick at throwing a brick. You know, it's just kind of countering what's already there, and it's a lot easier for a Terran to get a lot of Thors out, or at least to get them out quicker than it is for you to get Ultras. And at that point, all it takes is some bio mixed in with some Marauders, and your Ultras don't stand a chance because they're just too slow, they don't have range, but I like deploying them anyway because they do a good job at cleaning up massive masses of troops. And Broodlords, these guys are just awesome. I don't think they get brought out nearly enough, and another reason why I like this game is it was just a cool game. I brought out I think the only thing I did not tech to was Hydra, and the Hydra is a unit that is an awesome unit, but I just have not been utilizing it much lately. But that's more of a talk, I guess, for another game, so thank you very much for watching. This is Malikicowtipper, signing out.